Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Behind the Rhyme. I am Pat Middleton and we are in the midst of National Poetry Month 2025. Today is day 5 and I'm excited to have with me on today the co-facilitators of the Poetry and Discussion Group at the Center in the Park in Philadelphia, PA at 5818 Germantown Avenue, where Cleo Smalls is the director. And I have with me right now our first facilitator for interview, Carin. Good afternoon, Carin. How are you?
I'm wonderful. And yourself?
I'm doing good, and I'm so happy to have you here to interview and to share your poetry with our listening audience. Carin, before we get started with our questions and your poetry, I'd like you to take about yourself to everyone.
Hi, I'm Carin SpottedEagle. I run an organization known as Your Wellness Police. In that organization, I become your second pair of eyes. I help Americans with justice, consumers, and law. With justice, consumers, and law and medicine, and all kinds of activities regarding retirement, deeds, even death care, which is a new industry. And finally, I enjoy writing poetry. I've written about 77 pieces at this point. I guess I should publicize the fact, advance orders for my 5-set volume called Give Freedom Wings. We're taking pre-orders.
Wonderful, wonderful. Congratulations on over 700, almost 8. Tell me, Carin, how long did it take you to write almost 800 poems?
Well, a woman by the name of Thelma Shelton Robinson, I owe it all to her. I used to recite poems at the African American Museum down at 6th and Arch. And I did a pretty okay job. People loved the way I, dramatized readings. One particular event, Thelma came up to me at the end and she said, "Do you write?" And I looked at her, I said, "Oh, no, I was like, "Oh, no. I've never written. I recite and read other people." She said, "There's a writer in you. And Lord, thanks to God above, she was right. In 88, I wrote my first piece while traveling to Martha's Vineyard.
Wow, that is awesome. That sent her along and prompted her to challenge you to do that. She saw it in you. Do you remember the first poem that you wrote?
I absolutely do. I always honor this piece because when I was writing it, I was on a ferry leaving Hyannisport, going to Martha's, and I don't remember really writing the poem. My pen became like a Ouija board. It was going back and forth while the wind was blowing through my hair. And after I got to the end, and I went back and read it, I was like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus! This came from me."
Wow.
And that's how it all began. Labor Day weekend, week after Labor Day weekend. In 1988 was my first piece. And I've been writing seriously since.
That is extraordinary. Do you have that first piece that you wrote on the train with you?
I do.
Oh, well, let us jump right in right now and have you share that with our audience.
And by the way, I was on a ferry, not a train.
Oh,
a ferry. My car would come in. My car was driven onto the ferry. Okay, this piece is called Ode to the Cod. The announcement of the creative self, Martha's Vineyard. Waves of the cod, waves of my heart, turbulence of the world in the midst we start. Land across water, beautiful light. Dawn's early dusk, what a sight from Oaks Bluff. Clouds in the sky, flag waving on. This sail should take a half hour long. A wave of the sea, direction we go. hair blowing, blowing, blowing on and on. Why inspire me like this, as if nature's kiss? My heart is remiss, an island like this. The lighthouse shines on a direction not far to guide our ship from turn. Oh, wind, can you blow? Mist, can you fall? To look afar, no land to recall. On water or sea, no problems can be, just God's promises awaiting for me. Oh, wave of the cod, waves of my heart, I am ready to ride and do my part. Rocks of my soul, waves of my heart, thank you, dear Lord, for giving my start. The anchors of life that carry on, and nature's dear survival, my purpose born. Oh, waves of the sea, waves of the cod, minutes before anchoring, direction we aren't. The air blows through me, a reason to start life's most imaginative and important part. Clouds of the sky, winds of the earth, much became imagined, much required earned. Love of my life, purpose 'twas true, understanding goals you, pour out my heart through paper and pen, gives rise to peace within, riding upon the vessel owned by the Woods Hole Martha's Vineyard Steamship Authority, written September the 18th, 1988.
Wow.
Ode to the cod.
I love that. There's a saying, a painting is silent poetry, and poetry is a painting that speaks. And that is what that poem reminded me of. A painting that's speaking, because I could see everything. It was like your first poem, and you're announcing to the world that I'm here, I'm writing, and pour out my heart through paper. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
I can still feel the mist.
Wow. Well, let me ask you about the Center in the Park, Philadelphia, and the Poetry and Discussion Group. How long have you been a member of the poetry group there?
The group is 15 years old, and Runette Ebo had invited me over and over again in the beginning, and I just was actively working, but then I decided to check it out. And I've been a family member because it's a family of poets. We're all seniors and much, moving into the senior realm. And I love the community of poets in discussion.
Yes, I do as well. I joined in 2020 during the pandemic through Victoria. I'm going to move on to the next question. Who is your favorite poet? And why?
My favorite poet is Thelma Shelton Robinson. She wrote Soldiers on the Trolley. And she educated me because I didn't know that Philadelphia PTC, in order for black people to black men to operate that trolley, they had to have the National Guards on it. But that was the beginning before it became SEPTA. PTC had soldiers on the trolley in order for black operators to work there. So she's my favorite poet because that's her poem that's one of my favorites. She's written quite a few chapbooks. She was a scholar, by the way, from South Philly.
Oh, wow. Let's see. How has your poetry been a blessing to you, and how has it been a blessing to others?
Well, sometimes people ask me for my pieces. There's one that I wrote called A Divine Affirmation. And this lady, she's passed on, but she said she did that poem every morning when she woke up. She would do the poem. And so it's nice to be appreciated. Your words on paper are appreciated. It's really wonderful. Did I answer that?
Yes, you answered the first part. The second part was, how have your poems been a blessing to you?
My poems are my therapy session. A lot of times I can hear something on the news or the internet, and it'll move me. It'll move words in my soul, and I'll grab a pen and I'll start writing. Or I have to see some inspiration might come from internal. So it's a therapy session for me. That's why I've written so many pieces.
That's
Girlfriend needs a
good.
lot of love from the Lord above.
Oh yes, indeed.
I think he
Right.
blessed me with the gift of words, though. Blessed me with the gift of words, though, because I've
Yeah.
been reading to the public since I was in second grade. I used to do the longest recitations on Easter and Christmas since I was in second grade. I love reciting and I love dramatization
Yeah, same
of
here, same here. I
poetry.
have that testimony. And I do agree. Poetry is therapeutic, it's healing, it's liberating too. Because a lot of
Absolutely.
times what's trapped inside, we get it out on paper and it's liberating for us.
Yeah, it doesn't bother you. It makes your blood pressure go down.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think it's time for you to share one poem again.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
All
This
right.
next piece I was originally asked at the last minute to perform in Long Island, in Great Neck, Long Island. Someone who was planning a show, their poet he knew I had a lot of written things, so he said, Carin, do you have anything on freedom? And I was like, no, but I can whip up something. So I whipped up two pieces. And the one I chose to use was really interesting because someone was in the audience from an NGO, and they came up to me and said, how would you like to go to India? And they came up to me and said, how would you like to go to India? And I was like, sure, when? And that's how it all began. But this piece was well received. I traveled all over the middle part of India, northern part of India. They treated me like a long-lost daughter. Everywhere I went, it was very interesting. The piece title came from Smokey the Bear's motto, only you can prevent forest fires. That's how this got started.
Oh,
Okay?
okay.
I took that piece and I decided, wow, only you can give freedom permission. So it's part of, prevention for fire. Give freedom wings. In the land of the free, we the people enjoy personal rights and liberty. Freedom, my countrymen and families. Freedom, friends, to live in sweet peace. It's in human nature. It's in human nature to want harmony. Just imagine acres of diamonds. Freedom like twinkling stars. Freedom is the persona of what you are. Free to choose the path you walk. Freedom of choice. Free to voice passion. Freedom to reduce pain. Freedom is the focus of our consciousness, many of us aim. Freedom to play. Freedom to smile. Freedom to help. Freedom to forget. Freedom to ride. Freedom of speech, the press, freedom of the seas, freedom of assembly, freedom stand tall, freedom like a tree. Freedom is sought to give rise to your birthright, my sister and brothers. Freedom is taught and occasionally bought. Freedom to give, freedom to take, freedom to contemplate, freedom to metamorphosize, freedom to mimic the butterfly. Butterflies transform from caterpillars into a beautiful, radiant pair of wings. Celebrate freedom. Celebrate liberty. Celebrate transformation. Celebrate with me. Let's honor freedom. It's in a perspective. A blush of a mulberry tree, ripened by the sun's intense rays. Butterflies are here to beautify. It's God's artistic play. It's in an intention to see the winged one change from creepy crawler into an elegant pair of flying wings. Free to choose the path you walk, choice in the voice you talk. Freedom to play, freedom to smile, freedom to help, freedom to forget for a while. Life teaches respect, love, happiness, cooperation, all are on the road experiencing freedom. Freedom, freedom, let freedom ring. Only you can give freedom permission. And that was written September the 11th, 1995 at 11:45 in the evening.
So beautiful. I love that. Give freedom wings. And I love how you have the dates for your poems. I love that, that you have a reference not only of the story behind the rhyme, but also the date.
Yeah, it seems like the hour is important to me. Because in my head, I would say, wait a minute, let me turn on the light and grab a pen.
Yeah, I know that feeling well. Well, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful poem on freedom, Carin. And before you go, I want to thank you again for being with us today. And also, just to remind our listening audience, you are co-facilitator of the Poetry and Discussion Group at Center in the Park. And we have an event coming up. Would you tell our listening audience, kind of give them a little invitation?
Absolutely. Center in the Park Poets, and we also do share poetry and do different poetry styles. But April the 29th, that's a Tuesday, the last Tuesday in April, we will be performing our poetry and have an open mic available for you who would like to come and visit and share your pieces or listen. It's all possible. It starts at 12:45. So it's an afternoon event at Center in the Park, 5818 Germantown Avenue. If you're driving, come in off of Rittenhouse Street, and there's parking in the upper and lower deck, visitors with cars. But that will be a wonderful affair. It's 12:45 to 2:30, and the light refreshments will be served. And by the way, listen to us on G-Town Radio, 92.9 FM, 9 o'clock the day before, which is Monday, 28th. My co-facilitator, Ron Dove, and Patricia Middleton, your current host, will be interviewed by Tom Cassetta, who's station manager for G-Town Radio. And that'll be Monday the 28th at 9 a.m., 92.9 or gtownradio.com. 92.9 or gtownradio.com.
Thank you, Carin, again, for being with us on today. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Blessed be. Enjoy your weekend. Everybody smile, and remember, love is in the air.
Love is in the air. Amen. I like that. Breathe it in and breathe it out. That's going to do it for today's edition of Behind the Rhyme. I'm Pat Middleton. You've been listening to 800 AM WTMR, where the master reigns in Camden, Philadelphia, and where we're streaming at WTMRradio.com. I'll meet you back here on Sunday at 6 p.m. for Word, Power, and Truth. Monday mornings at 6 a.m. for Good Monday Mornings with Pat. And then I'll be back here again Saturday at 1:30 for another great interview with another great poet. Until then, as always, be blessed, be encouraged, and be